It's time for our daily dose of cope. And we have Miss Priscilla Cassidy back at the news anchor desk. We have a serious news anchor for some serious news stories. Today is all about businesses, how they're reacting, and how these leopards are coming for these businesses. This is a Facebook post. This person says, Donald Trump has finished me. My goodness, what is his plan with all of these things? He's manipulating the market so much. I don't understand. Market will be set for buy. Next thing, Trump in his press conference. I've told my secretary to increase the tariffs on steel by 25%, and it begins tomorrow. At this point, my investments are simply becoming donations. Before some of you show up to my wall with plenty of talk, yes, I voted for Trump. Yes, in his first term, I made blood money. Yes, the other option from the Democrats was a Lodo with zero accomplishments. No idea what an Lodo is, but she did have accomplishments. Yes, I'm a wailing wailer. Yes, I believe things will turn around. Yes, I'll wail in this short term. When it comes time to praise him, I will. And like this person at the bottom says, keep hurting me, my king. And that's what it's like. They're going to go down with the ship and still saying, yes, I voted for him, and they have no regrets. It doesn't seem like they have any regrets. This person posted in the conservative subreddit saying, I have a business that imports dairy products from Canada. 250% tariffs F's me. Maybe they meant 25% tariffs. I'm restricted to supplies by corporate. I told them I have new names picked to go independent, but it's a 70-year-old business that I'd hate to abandon. Even as they're losing their businesses, even as they're losing money, they still don't have any regrets. This is the reason why they have to feel the pain of their vote for 2 to 3 years, because they're getting hurt every day, but they still have no regrets. I'm thoroughly confused, but it's their business. If they want to be hurt, they can. Now we have a story coming out of North Carolina. This quote, didn't expect this to be this severe. North Carolina farmers reeling under Trump policies. Farmers who rely on payments from the federal government to remain afloat are treading water just to survive now that the Trump administration has frozen federal funding. Reporter Ben Rappaport wrote in the Assembly that farmers in North Carolina who are still recovering from flooding and drought haven't received expected payments linked to conservation loan programs, projects aimed at combating climate change, and emergency loans for farmers in disaster areas. They're not going to give funding for climate change because climate change is too woke. So that is what you voted for. And yes, North Carolina did vote for Trump. Ruby Red, Oklahoma is feeling the impact of cuts to funding. I talked about this in another video. This person says, not what we voted for. Programs funneling farmers' food to schools and food banks cut. I already talked about this in its own video, but Oklahoma is a red state. Oklahoma definitely went for Trump. The leopards is eating the faces of these voters, definitely. Federal funds impacting Oklahoma farmers, schools, and food banks are on the chopping block. The USDA has cut 2 federal programs that spent over $1 billion annually to help schools and food banks buy food from local farms and ranches. Hunger Free Oklahoma expects Oklahoma to lose up to $30 million in funding. Really, the hardest hit area is your local growers and food hubs that help sort of consolidate the products into one place that the schools and the food banks can buy from, said Chris Bernard, CEO and president of Hunger Free Oklahoma. Christina Ferris, a farmer in Fort Cobb, says she is blown away by the decision. The first thing we thought was they just want to get rid of all the small farmers and just have mega farms because that's not what we voted for, said Christina Ferris, owner of CF2 Cattle Company and Cowgirl Beef. But that is what he did in the first go round. Lots of farmers filed for bankruptcy during Trump tariffs 1.0. So this is going to happen. This is going to obviously impact so many people, but they should have known what to expect because they already went through this. The OKC Food Hub, which works directly with the farmers, schools, and food bank, also weighed in on the impact. Farmers will not have an investment in their farms to get food to communities and school children like starting in June. They would have had X amount of dollars promised to their farm. Now they don't, said Jenna Moore, OKC Food Hub. So this is going to suck. This is going to suck majorly for lots of people. But the states that voted for him, I hope that they feel it worse and first. So this one's titled, Ford donates to Trump's inauguration, receives metal tariffs in return that threaten the F-150. So remember, back during the inauguration, the CEO of Ford donated $1 million. Now, these metal tariffs, this trade war and all of that, that's going to impact the big three, the big car companies here. And most of them did go for or support Trump. So they're kind of getting what they deserved. This was posted in Fortune. It's titled, CEOs say they are losing faith in Trump. I don't trust what's said today will be true tomorrow, because how can you trust a liar anyway? He stays flip-flopping, so I don't know why you would have trusted him anyway. All right, it says, how quickly CEO optimism has turned. I'm just back from the Yale CEO caucus in Washington, where 100 CEOs gathered with 60 big city mayors, policymakers, and journalists like me to talk off the record about navigating Trump 2.0. Gone is the optimistic dream of economic growth spurred by the Trump's pro-business mindset around taxes and regulation. In its place is the grave uncertainty of not knowing what this administration will do next. As the host, Yale professor Jeffrey Sonnenfeld noted afterwards, the consensus was one of bewilderment, condemnation, and a feeling that Trump's policies were bad for the U.S. economy. This article was behind a paywall, but Yahoo Finance also posted it. Though the attendees identified as 60% Republican to 40% Democrat, the mood was dour. In a flash poll of the summit, 80% of the CEOs said they find themselves apologizing to our international partners for Trump's capriciousness. Exactly. 85% oppose his approach to tariffs and think they're backfiring. Almost all, 92%, are now concerned about a recession. Indeed, Goldman Sachs chief economist just downgraded the entire U.S. economy. So when I say things like there is a depression underway, we are headed straight to a depression, I am truly believing that is where we're going. If 92% are now of these CEOs are concerned about recession, I'm sure that they have a lot of insights that we don't have as just normal Americans watching the news and watch this unfold. So this is an article from back in November. Delta CEO expects Trump presidency will be positive for the airline. Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian said Donald Trump was helpful to the carrier in his first term, and he expects his return to the White House to be positive for Delta. We worked with President Trump well in his first term, Bastian said during an interview with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Bastian, who's led Atlanta-based Delta since 2016, said Trump was very helpful in Delta's fight against what it called unfair advantages that Middle Eastern airlines have because of subsidies from their government. He was a strong supporter of the U.S. airlines and U.S. jobs, which Bastian said he expects will continue. He knows our industry well, very, very well. Newest headline, Delta, American dive on slashed outlooks, but two airlines rally. It says, airline stocks broadly tumbled Tuesday after Delta and American lowered their outlooks. Meanwhile, Southwest announced new incentives and updated its buyback program while JetBlue boosted its EBIT guidance. Did y'all, and on a tangent that's not about Delta, did y'all hear about Southwest saying no more free checked bags? I don't know what's going on with travel anyway, considering all of the plane crashes and who all is wanting to even travel anyway. Who's going to have money to travel because of everybody's jobs being slashed? But the fact that they said no more checked bags, no more free checked bags will definitely hurt them, because who really wants to fly Southwest without that perk? Okay, now we have Michelin star DC chef, not so sudden financial struggles and political backlash. So this person right here. Gravitas and Michelle chef Matt Baker has recently dealt with tax liens, a lawsuit, and social media blowback. So all the financial issues, sounds like he fits in perfectly with Trump. So he's having all of these financial issues, but here is where he probably is going to shoot himself in the foot. It says, and to top it off, Baker is now facing backlash for pro MAGA social media posts, including one inviting Elon Musk to dine at Gravitas that aren't going over well in liberal DC. Like, why would you invite this person? And this person is slashing folks' jobs. Anyways, let me know what you think about all this. Not sure what this person was thinking, probably not thinking at all. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And I'm totally sure that I'm going to have so many more stories for tomorrow. So tune in.